and go. Good morning, CrossFit Manitowoc. This is a special day today. We are coming to you with the workout for the 30th of April, which is a happy birthday to two very special people. One being my wife, Audrey, Coach Audrey, to everyone. It is her birthday, and she is again 29 years old and getting lovelier every year. So happy birthday, hun. I appreciate all you do for the business. As my partner, the Chief Operating Officer of CrossFit Manitowoc, and also the design, the web stuff, the pictures, all of the media, the sugar wad photos, the organizational stuff, the reminding me when I have forgotten to do the normal daily tasks that I'm supposed to get done. She's like the engine behind all of that stuff, and I'm just the pretty face. So, I mean, what can I say? And happy birthday also to Christine Wold. These two ladies share a birthday, and a lot of times we actually try to get together and do something fun for our birthday, and I'm really sad that we can't do it this year, so we're going to do it virtually. But at any rate, and that brings me to my next point, our thought for the day was never lose the ability to laugh at things and to see the comedy in the midst of tragic and serious and ridiculous daily life that we live. And that is one of the things that I've tried to bring to everything that I do, is the ability to satirize the current situation and just to not take myself so seriously that I get all offended if somebody makes fun of me or doesn't agree with everything I say. So it's a way more stress-free way to live your life when you recognize that there is comedy to be found everywhere. And if we've lost the ability to laugh at life, then what's the point of living? I don't want to just continue taking breaths and pumping my heart and have absolutely no emotion or fun in life. So try to think of the daily things that you can be silly about and have fun with, and then always, if I get too serious, I need every single one of you to check me and say smack, stop being such a uptight stick in the mud, Matt, and have a little fun with it. And I want you guys, speaking of fun, to have a little fun with our deadlifts tomorrow. Again, I know I say it all the time, but this is my favorite lift. Not just because it's the thing I'm the strongest at, but it makes me feel the most functional. It is the most functional lift that we do, and it is the thing that people hurt themselves on when they're not taught to do it correctly, or they do it with too many reps or too much weight. So I'll go over just a little bit of technical points on the deadlift as well today. The deadlift is our fundamental hip hinge exercise, and the hip hinge is when the spine remains braced and neutral and your pelvis rotates relative to your femurs, right? The femur is the upper leg bone, and the pelvis is this girdle that starts off your spinal cord, right? And that is the fundamental movement of the deadlift. And if we can learn to do that pattern really, really well and really, really reflexively instead of having to think about it, then we inoculate ourselves from pain and injury when we're doing normal daily tasks like moving a couch or picking up a bag of concrete or a bag of dog food or planting a tree, right? And these are all the reasons why we do the deadlift. And some of the other fundamentals of how we train is not to do arbitrary fitness movements that just because they look cool or because you saw them on Instagram or because there's a machine with a pin and a range of motion that does it in the gym. We are trying to replicate movements that are relevant to your regular life, learn how to do those better, learn how to be stronger in those patterns, and then that teaches us to be pain-free in those patterns and ultimately more functional, which is the goal of a functional training program. So on the deadlift, I want to make sure extra effort on keeping your shoulders tight so my posture muscles are engaged on the back side of my body, and then my abs and my deeper abs, the lower levels of the core are also tight. And that enables me to compress and keep tension on both sides of my spine. And that hinging motion right there, the more you do it in a pain-free manner, the less pain you will feel overall. And that's a neurological trick, that the more pain-free movement that you engage in intentionally, the less overall back pain you will feel, right? So as we pull off the ground, I want to make sure that our starting position is not so low that I have to hunch or articulate my spine at all. Right? And then at the very top, I want to make sure my top position is not so exaggerated that I hyperextend, because either of those directions can be bad for the deadlift, right? So make sure that the middle position is usually pretty safe. It's the end ranges of motion where we get into trouble. So if you need to pull off a set of blocks, or if you're doing a single object and you need to not put it all the way to the ground, That is totally fine, right? And then at the top, I want you to make sure that you are finishing the deadlift with a squeeze of your butt and a squeeze of your abs. So squeeze in two places. Squeeze the butt, squeeze the abs. Now notice I'm not like leaning way back. I'm not hyperextending my back. There's no roll of my shoulders. Everything from my head down to my hip bones is totally static, braced and isometric, okay? All right, and the rep scheme for today is relatively simple. We're just going up by 10s and down by 8s, all right? On the way up, I want you to be adding weight every set. We're shooting for a total of in the range of 4 to 6 total sets, with the finishing set being what I would call a 10 rep max, even though it's kind of hard to find a 10 rep max. But think of it as like your heaviest set of 10s for the day. Then I want you to go back down a notch, and we're doing a set of 8. Down a notch, another set of 8. So on the way up, we're doing 10s, 2 minutes rest between the sets on the way up, and 45 seconds rest on the sets on the way down, all right? And I want you to do the same number of sets on the way up as you do on the way down, get back down to your warm-up weight. So it's a lot of total reps, but all you're doing is deadlift, rest, deadlift, rest, deadlift, rest, and then take off weight, deadlift, rest, take off weight, deadlift, rest, take off weight, deadlift, rest, okay? And that's it. The cash out is Annie, which is one of my favorite benchmarks too, should be a relatively fast workout. If you can do double unders efficiently, do double unders. If you cannot do double unders efficiently, the goal of this workout is to be in motion the entire time, to make this be a combination of muscular fatigue as well as cardio fatigue. So in other words, if you can do 2 or 3 double unders, but then you trip on your rope, then you do 2 or 3 more double unders and trip on your rope. So yes, you can do double unders, but they're not like falling on in sets of like 30 or 50 in a row. That will limit your overall intensity, and that will limit the effect of the workout, right? And it's basically just like, hey, instead of doing that, why don't you do Annie with singles, and then in a separate session, practice your double unders, right? So Annie is not the time to practice the double unders, it's a time to execute the double unders. And that's sort of an example of a competition versus a training session. And this one, Annie, is one of the ones that I would label as a competition one, because I want you to get through the workout in, say, like 7 to 10 minutes, and knowing that like good times are in the like sub 6 minute range. All right, but it's 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 of double unders and sit-ups. If you want to anchor your feet with a dumbbell or a plate or a sandbag, that is totally fine for today. If you have an ab mat, great. If not, no worries, just do regular sit-ups. All right, the warm-up has jump ropes in it. It's got seated hip swivels, which is one of my favorite hip opening exercises. And on the seated hip swivels, just make sure, even if you have your hands planted, that your feet don't move, right? And this is sort of the intro version of the hip swivels. My feet stay in the same place. My knee on the inside is going to the heel on the outside. If you want to make it harder, take your hands off the ground and try to lean forward into it, okay? And that's 6 reps in each direction. Some drinking birds. Drinking bird, both knees bent. Initiate by pushing the hips back, feeling that pull on the front hamstring and the chest coming away from the ground. So we're engaging, practicing that deadlift movement just in a stepping fashion like that. And then the windmill with a light kettlebell. A windmill, again, will also get that front side leg, hamstring and hip. And I initiate by punching that hip out to the back, leaning down to the side, right? Touch that finger to the ground, or get as low as you can without spinning your spine. Again, brace neutral spine. This should be no bending in the spine when I do this. It should be all from the hips and the hamstrings that create that motion. Get through that 3 times and then hit those deadlifts. All right, guys, that's all we got for today. Happy birthday again to my lady and to Christine. I hope you guys have a great one.